It's time for Mac Geek Gab, and listener Alex brings us our quick tip of the week by sharing, he says maybe everybody's already aware of this, but on the lock screen, you can tap on a widget and it takes you to the corresponding app, like weather or fitness or whatever the widget is that you have. Assuming the widget comes from an app, which they all do, it will bring you to the corresponding app. He says, I had no idea. My guess is this is news to other people too. More quick tips like this, plus your questions answered today on Mac Geek Gab 1025 for Monday, February 19th, National Chocolate Mint Day 2024. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Mac Geek Gab, the show where you send in quick tips like that, cool stuff found, questions. We share all of the above. We try to answer your questions. We try to learn from all three because the goal is for each and every one of us to learn at least 5 new things every single time we get together. Sponsors for this episode include Zocdoc.com/MGG, where you can sign up for free and download the app. Find a great doctor and book an appointment today. Factormeals.com/MGG50, where code MGG50 gets you 50% off your first box of these really delicious, easy to heat meals. And hims.com/MGG, changing men's healthcare by providing convenient quality care. And you can start your free online visit today at hims.com/MGG. We'll talk more in depth about every single one of those in a minute or 17 here. For now, here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
Here in South Dakota, I am Adam Christianson.
And live, at least I think I am, from Hong Kong, it's Pilot Pete. Greetings, everybody.
Man, yeah, you're all over the place, Pete. I'm still astounded that it took us 10 years to figure out that you also could record remotely. I don't know why.
Just because John could.
Right. Like this show
part of it, to be fair, part of it was the Skype setup and having the right betas and all that in the early days. That was tougher.
We had the right betas.
Yeah.
I mean, like John and I had them, and all I would do is put the new beta that we weren't supposed to talk about, but evidently we're talking about it in the like a Dropbox for us, and John would just download it and run that. You could have done the same thing. Like we started this show when doing a remote podcast recording was, let's just say, not as turnkey a solution as it is today. But we did it. Like, we figured it out, and it was no big deal once we had it up and running. I don't know why we easily could have done this. Like, there's no reason. It's just us being ridiculous.
Well,
Anyway, hopefully your internet lasts. Hey, there is a little follow-up to Alex's quick tip that I shared in the opening. He says, if you wanted to open an app this way that does not offer a widget, it is possible to add that to the lock screen by adding a shortcut that you create in the Shortcuts app. And then you can there is a shortcut action for open app. And so you could put a little, widget on your lock screen to open an app that doesn't offer widgets, and boom, the shortcut will do its job and you're off to the races.
Nice. Yeah. And a lot of people use thumbprint, fingerprint on the older phones, and then Face ID on the new phones. Security. If you're doing that, will it open the app without your Face ID? Because I have a way to do it if it doesn't.
I think you've got to unlock your phone. And we will acknowledge something that the three of us talked about pre-show, is that Pete's internet is questionable, despite him having recorded from this hotel before. You cut out a little bit while you were saying that. It was all very intelligible and all good, but I just figured I'd acknowledge it.
Okay, yeah, it is spotty this morning for whatever reason. Not entirely sure. Well, I was going to say, additionally, you can set your watch, if you have the Apple Watch, as long as it's in and you've got a passcode on it, it will unlock the phone for you. So you don't have to be looking at your phone.
I forget about that with Face ID, because if I'm looking at the screen, chances are it has unlocked itself. But if you, like you said, if you're if you're using a Touch ID based phone still or something. Then,
and there's times, now it does a nice job in the dark. I guess it uses infrared lighting or something like that. So even in a darkened room, it'll unlock for you. But there's times when I found that I've had my phone off at an angle, either for, not so as not to disturb Debbie with the light on from my phone when she's asleep, and on her side and facing me. I don't want to light her up with the phone.
Yeah, right.
So I can turn the phone away from me and it'll still open apps because my watch is unlocked and it just unlocks.
So
I find it convenient.
You said that Face ID uses infrared. I don't think that's correct. I think Face
I thought
ID
used something for low light technology. I assume
it's not light, right? From what I understand, Adam, it's doing like facial 3D mapping, right?
That's right.
Yeah, but it's using that IR dot projector, right?
Oh, it is
to
infrared
do that mapping.
Okay.
I mean, it's projecting those billions of dots to to surface map your face, basically.
Yeah, right. Oh, and it's doing that with infrared. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's a LiDAR. Somebody in the Discord, Uncle Jamie, asked if it was LiDAR. I don't think it is. It's called the True Depth Camera, right? But maybe
it uses a combination of stuff. But I mean, that's part of that IR projector, and I think you can, like with certain cameras, you can even see those dots, right?
You can see infrared dots with some cameras. Yeah, but what is it? How does it work? Projecting thousands of invisible dots. Yeah, it's infrared to do the dots, so it's not LiDAR, which I would have thought it would be, but LiDAR is not cheap, I guess. I don't know, but I'll put a link.
Well, neither's the phone, to be fair.
What's that? Well, what are you trying to say, Pete?
They aren't giving them away this week.
Again?
Man.
Gosh, man. I thought with the Vision Pro out now. Yeah. Speaking of Vision Pro, Adam, you want to take us to Mark's tip about some fun things?
Sure. Yeah. Mark says, I don't see the tip in here.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought you went away.
I'll take this one then. Sorry. I think I set you up for failure, Adam.
Oh, it's a link to a tip.
Mark shared a link to the accessibility features on Vision Pro on Apple's site. And so there are all kinds of them, and we will link to this too. There's voiceover, there's zoom, you can set the display and text size. So Mark's point is similar to the iPhone. The accessibility features aren't things that would only be of interest to folks who have an accessibility need. A lot of these things are things that might wind up becoming their own features at a future date, which is often what we've seen with the iPhone, like things like the inverse mode and even dark mode started as accessibility as an inverse, invert the screen thing. And then it moved to smart invert and then it became dark mode. Ish. And so there's things, and again, we'll link to this, but there's voiceover, there's zoom. You can change the text size. You can adjust the amount of motion. You can do sound actions. There are things that you can do with the digital crown. You can adjust the click speed for it, and then adjusting sound. And there's things that you can do with the S Lady and different per app settings for things like text size and that sort of thing. So it is good to go and take a look at this article for all of the things, or just go dig around in the accessibility settings on Vision Pro, just like we do on our iPhones. I think maybe that's the message to take away from Mark's tip is treat this like you would your Mac or your iPhone. Like go dig into every setting and see what it changes, because there is some level of arbitrariness, if I made up a word, to where when Apple puts something in the accessibility features versus when it becomes its own top level feature in the settings app. And so don't overlook them. So yeah, good, which is good advice.
I have something. I have something
go.
on this. Yeah, actually, I saw a YouTube video and I was hoping to find the guy's channel. I thought I subscribed to it. There's a tech YouTuber who does accessibility and tech. Oh, it's called Equal Accessibility on YouTube, and I'll grab the link.
Okay.
But he's I think quadriplegic, it looks like. And so he was doing a review on how accessible is the Vision Pro. And if you look at the first tip, the first problem was it's not immediately obvious when you put this thing on how to turn on the accessibility features from the get-go. And the very first tip on this Apple's page is you can turn on accessibility features right away when you set up the Vision Pro, but it doesn't tell you how to. You'd have to know this information ahead of time, first of all, right? There's no prompt. There's no, like oftentimes with the Mac, if you install your new OS, right, and you boot up the Mac, if you don't do anything, you sit there on the screen, right, it starts doing voiceover and it starts talking to you.
Yeah, right.
The Vision Pro doesn't do this. Secondly, look how you activate the accessibility features immediately. Triple click the crown, the digital crown.
Oh.
How do you do that with no arms or no hands?
Yeah. I mean, presumably you've either figured out a way or had someone help you put the Vision Pro on your face, right? But then
a lot of folks with no arms and hands could get it on. Yeah, you can
that's
get
fair.
it on a table and you can manipulate it with your feet.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of ways to,
Yep, that's fair. Yeah. Huh. I did
have like I use an iPhone. I have all kinds of Apple devices, and this first device I couldn't use right out of the box. So he wrote to Tim Cook and got some replies and things like that. So it's an interesting video. Go watch the video. Equal Accessibility is the YouTube channel.
Equal Accessibility. Okay.
Yeah, Equal Accessibility.
All right.
But yeah, and he pointed out like even small things like had they just put the digital crown on the bottom edge instead of the top edge, they could manipulate with a shoulder or a foot or another limb. Yeah. And the other interesting thing was I saw another person ask about, well, what if you only have one eye? Does that work? And there is an accessibility setting for setting up your dominant eye, or if you only have one eye, so you can get it to operate with left eye or right eye or so.
That's interesting.
Very cool.
I did get a chance to do the demo on Saturday. I stopped. I went down to see a friend on Saturday night in Connecticut, and I booked an appointment for midway through my trip to sort of break up the drive. And that 30 minutes goes by fast, folks. Soak it all in. But I was impressed with how intuitive it was. You and I were talking about it a little bit, Adam. There are parts of the interface that are not entirely intuitive, but it's a pretty smooth experience. I found. I can see if I were spending the same amount of time on planes that I did, 10 years ago, the same amount of time in hotel rooms, I would be very compelled to buy it for those reasons. I'm sure eventually I will wind up with one of these things. At the moment,
here's some good news.
What's that, Pete?
About how getting them faster.
What's that?
At a better price. Today, the 15th, the day we're recording, is the first day that the returns, or the last day of the first people have to return.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's right. They will be available on Refurb in theory.
Yeah. Refurb.me. Yeah. So Henry was mentioning that on his show. So yeah.
All right. Yeah. Good. But yeah, go book that demo. My family, I mentioned it to my wife and son as I was on the way out the door for this thing on Saturday night. They were like, "Yeah, we don't know what we're going to do today." I was like, "Well, I'm going to stop and do a Vision Pro demo." They're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, I went on the app and I booked it, and that's what I'm going to do." Like, well, we want to do that. I'm like, that's kind of why I mentioned it. You can. Like, we have lots of Apple stores around us. So they found some open appointments and they went and did it too. Interestingly, they wound up buying, each of them wound up buying not a Vision Pro, but the latest Quest that same day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. My son had an older Quest and has been wanting the newer one, and my wife really wanted something that would allow for an immersive exercise experience at the house. And the Quest has totally delivered on this. She's, every time she's like, yeah, I got to go exercise. Like, okay, I should spend 20 minutes doing this. 45 minutes later, she's worked up a full sweat and forgot about the amount of time that went by. Like, she plays a boxing game or something, but it's all like fitness games. I know the fitness stuff is coming to Vision Pro. The Quest is also $500. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to get a $4,000 piece of equipment sweaty.
Yeah. But they mentioned that they were going to go look at the Quests, and then I saw an alert on my phone that 2 new 6 gigahertz Wi-Fi devices had joined our network. And I sent the notification home like, looks like you guys did some shopping.
The other thing to point out with the Quest is that it does support now spatial video and photos from your iPhone 15 Pro.
Cool.
So
it does? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, they added support for the spatial video and photos.
Oh, well, then I need to check this out.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right, cool. Well, I got those videos you sent me, Pete. So like I said, and then and they did fix the latest update, Pete, by the way.
Yeah.
Fixed the immersive video problem that I had where you would have the small window and then you'd go into immersive mode and you'd still have the small window with the haze around it. Now it goes full
Oh,
view.
nice.
Okay. You still get a little white haze edge, but it puts you into the space like I was expecting it to from the get-go. So I don't know why they launched it the way they did or why.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Whatever the first
They may not have realized until they went, oh, this ain't working like we advertised. Let's fix it.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah. Whoops. All right, back to we might as well finish out the quick tips. We actually do have some
that was a
couple
long
more Vision Pro tips. Well, it was a discussion, Pete. It's okay.
Yeah.
We take tangents and we reserve that right. In fact, I think if we didn't take tangents, this show would be less interesting to listen to. You can let us know what you think about that, though. Feedback at macgeekgab.com. We do try to make the show for you.
You heard him. Feedback at macgeekgab.com. Stop what you're doing right now and send it.
That's right. Feedback.
Then hit play again.
Then hit play again. That's right. Dan shares in reaction to my tip in the our tip in the last episode. He says when John was talking about putting his printer on a smart switch, I thought he was going to share for a different reason, that being to be able to restart the device easily and remotely. He says, I have my TV on a light. I have a TV light strip on one because occasionally they stop responding to their timer or the remote. A simple restart and they're back to working as normal. But some things are difficult to get. It's difficult to get to the plug where it fits into the wall or the power strip if it's behind a desk or other furniture. He says, I also have one on my Optimum Altice box too, so I can restart it without even getting up. I need to put one of these on my new NVIDIA Shield because this has happened. I told you I've been running that thing for like 2 weeks. It's all we use and we love it. Except my family hasn't figured out that the way that works best to turn it off is to just touch the power button on the remote. One quick press turns off the TV and the Shield and everything's good. If they hold down the power button, as it was evident they did on Saturday night, because when I got home on Sunday, I saw this symptom, and the same was true when I had a band rehearsal earlier in the week. It won't turn on if they hold down the power button until the thing turns off. The only way I've found to get it to come back on is to power cycle it. There might be another way, if you know. Again, feedback at macgeekgab.com. But so putting a extra smart switch on the Shield would perhaps just be my solutions, because otherwise, Pete, I have to get up off the couch.
Like walk all the way across the room like a caveman.
I don't even understand why it's 2024. Right. Why are we in 2024 if I have to get up off the couch to do this?
What was that kids movie where the robots were all waiting on it? It was a cartoon.
Wally?
I think that was it. Yeah, everybody's fat and they're just laying around drinking milkshakes, and the robots are waiting on them.
I know that that's not where I want to go. However, there are moments in the day where that is where I want to be. Yes,
right.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's yeah. Another day we need to get into my theory about Pixar and Apple's relationship and how Pixar movies predict the future of what Apple is going to do.
I mean, you've tugged on the thread, or you've presented the thread, Adam.
Yeah.
What is there more to your theory here?
No, so Wally is like our future, and if you look at the progression of screens to where we are today with the Vision Pro, that's about one step further, right? We're in our little floating chairs and communicating to the person next to us, looking at a display that's, in this case, probably going to be more projected in your eye. But there's that. And there was the whole, iPad sort of thing in The Incredibles, slipping out of a yellow manila envelope before Steve Jobs did the original MacBook Air announcement with the manila envelope. And there's a lot of parallels that go. And it's like, wonder where some of those ideas came from,
Yeah, well, I mean, the Star Trek definitely predicted or paved the way for a lot of technology that we use today, or invented, conceptualized, I guess is really the right term to use,
there
right?
you go.
Yeah, because they didn't invent the communicator. They built a plastic thing, right, that they treated like it worked. But that, those
But
things,
as you remember, the communicator was line of sight. They couldn't communicate if the ship was. There were times when the communicator was out of range. That
you're
sort of
right.
thing.
Yeah,
you call anywhere on the globe with your iPhone, in theory.
Yeah.
Especially now with the SATCOM.
Right. That's right.
In the 15, and then the tricorder. Oh, there's something wrong with your.
I want tricorders. That I think. I mean, I'm not. I know I'm not the only one, but.
And then Dick Tracy, of course, had the smartwatch.
Right.
Phone calls and yes, Commissioner.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I feel, and I know I talked about the Ultra on a recent episode. I feel like the Ultra really is the first Apple Watch that feels like a Dick Tracy watch. Like it just does all the things. I was able to easily type on the on-screen QWERTY keyboard the other day. I needed to add a weather location because I was going down to Connecticut and I wanted to put the town I was going in, and I was like, how can I do this on my watch? It's like, there's a keyboard. Oh, good luck. And I just tapped it out. Not nary a fat finger happened. So I was like, wow. All right.
I'm pretty good with the little, draw the letters one.
Yeah.
Which I love. I love that. I use it all the time to respond to texts and stuff like that. It works great.
It's bad about things like
the graffiti.
It's graffiti. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, from the palm.
It's bad about things. So if you want a semicolon or something, it'll give you an exclamation point. That drives me nuts. It's like, oh, come on.
You got to be quick.
I appreciate that you find it important enough to correctly use a semicolon when scratching out a sentence on your watch. That alone is part of why I love you, Pete. So
actually, the problem with that thing is that they're not using graffiti, because that was the genius with graffiti, because you had certain gestures and swipes. Like the one that I really missed from graffiti was you'd sort of do a backwards down tick and then swipe back, and then it would delete backwards.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
So the question that brings me to, is anal retentive hyphenated?
Oh man,
asking for
Adam,
a friend.
Yeah, one of my friends.
I have a quick one. Yes, I have a quick tip from Terry. Right?
I resemble that remark, Pete.
Yeah. Terry has a really quick one for the Vision Pro. He says you can have multiple Safari windows on the Vision Pro. All you have to do is open the sidebar to show the tabs, that little sidebar button we're all familiar with in Safari, and then drag the title of the tab out to be another window. So you can have all your windows. You can have Safari browsers all around you. You could do 360 if you want. You could leave ones in other rooms if you want and come back to them later. Yeah.
It's true. I He sent us a video, which I've linked to in the show notes, so you folks can see it too. If you are having trouble from that description, Terry does a great job. Terry's a lifelong educator. It's no surprise that his quick little video illustrates this perfectly. But yeah, it's pretty good.
I was having trouble with tabs just yesterday in there because I was like, oh, it's like you have 7 tabs open. I'm like, okay, how do I close my tabs? And I went over to the tab thing and I got the tab view where all my tabs came out as windows. And I was like, they don't have the little circle on them. Like, why don't you have the little circle on them so I can close them? And that was really frustrating me. And I was like, I spent a little while figuring it out. And then I realized, like, when you look at where you would open the tabs thing, it drops down the tab bar and then you can see all your tabs and then you can view them and click between them. But if you do the pinch and hold thing, it will give you the contextual menu so you can actually like close them. So.
Yeah. It like I said, folks, if you have an Apple store within driving distance of you, go do this demo. You're going to it's I think it's going to be important to at least understand the mechanics of how this Vision Pro works. You know, even if you don't have the latest iPhone or you don't have the latest Mac, you understand how a keyboard works, how a trackpad works, how a mouse works, how you probably understand how touch works and pinch and zoom on an iPhone. Spending the 30 minutes with a Vision Pro will give you all of that with the Vision Pro, so you can understand this new paradigm that the world is kind of, dabbling in. So, yeah. One other thing Terry mentioned on the Vision Pro in that video was kind of a bonus quick tip. He keeps a clock, the clock app, up permanently, kind of off to his right. And he just casually mentioned it as his glance, moved past it. He's like, oh yeah, and there, to the right of my clock, which I keep up all the time so I can see what time it is, I have another Safari window or whatever. And he was just showing these. I was like, right, that is one thing I missed in my Vision Pro demo. I mentioned the time went by very quickly because I had no idea what time it was. And it is a different world that you're in there. I mean, it's augmented reality, but it's different. And so when he was like, all right, and you're done, I was like, whoa, okay. And I mean, I looked at my watch. I was like, oh, you are correct. Like, we are done, but wow. Okay. So yeah, have that clock up. Otherwise, you'll go down that rabbit hole.
Be like being in a casino.
That was
lights on the wall there.
Yeah. Interesting you brought up the clock thing, because I was doing that just this morning. I was like doing some stuff on the Vision Pro and I was like, what time is it?
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I just asked S Lady and it popped up, which is great, right in front of you. So that was the easy way. And then I was like, oh, why is there not some sort of clock? And the only other way that I figured out how to do it without using a dedicated app or widget or something like that, you can go up to the control center, which you get to by looking up, and then this little down arrow appears, and then you can tap that, and the clock is in the control center along with your battery and all that other stuff. So
I wish I had known that, because I would have looked at the clock a few times during the demo. So yeah. So now you can. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a setting also to change, like how far up you have to look before you see the little control center icon too. So you can mess with that in your settings.
Yep.
Is there any light coming in from below? In other words, if you had your arm against, can you look down at your watch?
I could have. Watch. For me, there was light coming in under, like around my nose. I noticed it at first, and he said, if it becomes an issue, we can work and address that. But it was clear he didn't want to spend all our demo time on it. And that was the last time I thought about it until this very moment when you asked this. Like, it's just not a big deal. Yeah.
There's a little light leak around the nose. That's about the only place where I do get light leak. And I have another quick tip just on comfort. I'm learning that you can get it to be a lot more comfortable and wear it a lot longer. I know a lot of people are complaining about the weight by like either moving the positioning of the band. So like the solo loop, initially you want to put it like around the back of your head. I find, and other people have mentioned, if you move it just up a little bit higher, it feels like it might slip off, but it's not going to slip off. Just higher up on your head, it pulls the weight off of the top of your forehead. And then the other thing is like when you first put it on, you feel like you want to crank that dial, like you really want to like cinch it in. Don't cinch it in. It doesn't need to be super tight, and that makes it a lot more comfortable as well. So,
Yep.
Oh, now people aren't going to return them, Adam. They're going to be comfortable in them. Jeez. It's cost us money.
Bill brings us our next quick tip courtesy of Bill. So let's see if we can get this to play.
Hello, Dave, Pilot Pete, and Adam. This is Bill from Menlo Park, California. I have a quick tip here. For those of us who did not grow up in Unix land and are not programmers, but who occasionally need to use the terminal, we are often told to use the man command to view the manual for a particular Unix or iOS command. But when we do, we see that man file in a dorky text editor that is for normal people a pain. I can never remember how to close out of it. It's control something or another. There is a better way to look at man pages. OnyX, in its utilities section, includes a manuals reader. It lets you open whatever man page you want, scroll it back and forth, and read the details. One quirk is you do have to double-click on the command name in the left column to open a particular manual. And it doesn't have a search function. However, you can easily search through a large single manual by opening it in preview, which is just a one-click away. So you don't have to have two terminal windows open, one on man and one on a command line, and fiddling around. You can use OnyX to see those man pages. I think this might be helpful to anyone who only occasionally visits the terminal. Take care and don't get caught.
Hey, folks, let's talk about upgrades, not for your tech, but for you. Yes, you. With our sponsor, Hims, you can skip the waiting room and pharmacy lines. Think of it as the Apple Pay of men's healthcare. Fast, convenient, and no contact required. Whether it's rebooting your hairline or optimizing your performance, Hims delivers science-backed treatments directly to your door in packaging so discreet, even your mailman won't know. No insurance? No problem. Hims is like the flat rate shipping of healthcare. Everything you need for one low price without leaving your couch. Plus, with the Hims app, you can track your health progress as easily as your screen time. It's healthcare at your fingertips, literally. So don't get caught running on low battery. Power up with Hims. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/MGG. That's HIMS.com/MGG for your personalized treatment options. hims.com/MGG. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan, and our thanks to Hims for sponsoring this episode. You ever feel like cooking is one app you just can't quite download into your daily routine? That's where our sponsor Factor steps in, serving up chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals faster than your favorite gadget boots up. With over 35 meal options weekly, your taste buds will never hit a 404 again. Whether you're decoding the mysteries of keto, navigating the realms of vegan and veggie, or simply want to eat better without the prep time, Factor's got your back and your front with snacks, smoothies, and more. Let's talk numbers. Factor is less expensive than your average takeout, and every meal is a nutritional jackpot. It's like upgrading your diet without the need for patches or updates. And flexibility? Choose between 6 to 18 meals per week with the option to pause or reschedule deliveries. I use this and it's amazing. We've got some coming scheduled for when we get home from Mexico because we're going to get home and we are going to want to eat at home and we're not going to have been to the grocery store. It's perfect. These meals are delicious. It's like managing your cloud storage, but for your fridge. So don't get caught with your hunger and spin cycle. Head to factormeals.com/MGG50 and use code MGG50 to get 50% off. That's code MGG50 at factormeals.com/MGG50 to get 50% off. And our thanks to Factor for sponsoring this episode. All right, so you know how we're all about finding the best tech solutions without compromise, right? Well, when it comes to healthcare, why should it be any different? Don't get caught in the endless loop of searching for the right doctor who actually gets what turn it off and on again means in a medical sense. Enter our sponsor, Zocdoc. Zocdoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare highly rated in-network doctors near you and instantly book appointments with them online. Imagine booking a doctor as easily as snagging that last spot at your favorite Genius Bar, except for your health. Zocdoc lets you filter by those who take your insurance, are close enough not to need a map app to find, and can see you faster than you can say, "System update." So, whether you're dealing with a mystery bug more perplexing than a corrupted hard drive or just need a health checkup, Zocdoc has you covered. And it's not just you, it's me too. Whenever I need to look up a doctor, Zocdoc is what I use. So go to Zocdoc.com/MGG and download the Zocdoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/MGG, ZocDoc.com/MGG, and our thanks to Zocdoc for sponsoring this episode. All right, let's do some questions, shall we? Pete, you want to take us to Mike?
I can do that. Yeah, Mike writes in and asks, "Hi guys, can you remind me of one of your current recommendations for a network audio appliance with an 1/8 inch stereo audio jack that is AirPlay 2 compatible, similar to the old features of the Airport Express? I want to repurpose some decent but old speakers and add them to my HomeKit setup. Thanks, Mike." And I think, is that 3mm for those on the metric system?
I think so. I just call it a headphone jack. Yeah, it's a mini headphone jack. Yeah, not a 1/4-inch headphone jack. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The good news is we've had this conversation on the show before without a whole lot of great answers. There are some great answers now. There's two companies that I would recommend and feel comfortable recommending and look at for this. One is Belkin. They make what they call the Soundform Connect AirPlay 2 adapter. It's $89 on Amazon. It has both the headphone analog audio out, the mini headphone jack, whatever size you want to call that. It's also got the Toslink optical out on it. And of course, it's got, it's Wi-Fi. This one does 16-bit and 44.1 kilohertz sound, which is CD quality sound. We can argue the merits of having something more powerful than that, but I don't think you need it for what you're doing there. So there is that. Then there's another company that you might not be as familiar with, WIM, W-I-I-M. They make two things. One is what they call their WIM Mini, which is their AirPlay 2 wireless audio streamer. It has the same Toslink optical out. It's got your headphone optical out. It's also got an aux in, and it will, kind of let you take any sound you want and pass it through to those speakers. So it becomes sort of your hub. And of course, it is AirPlay capable as well as letting the other sound in through its sound input port. It also is $89 and available on Amazon. So we got a link for that. And then there is the WIM Pro, and there's even the WIM Pro Plus or something. The WIM Pro Plus, which comes with a remote and things like that. The difference between the WIM and the WIM Pro Plus is that the Pro and Pro Plus support Ethernet, Chromecast, the Amazon A-Lady multi-room, and other output types. So again, for what you're doing, the $89 WIM Mini would probably be totally fine. The WIM Pro is $149. The WIM Pro Plus, I think, is $219. But you get some more outputs. You get stereo RCA line outs and line in. You get Toslink, the optical input and output, again, Ethernet, some of those things. But if all you're looking for is AirPlay 2, then the WIM Mini or the Belkin Soundform Connect would be the answer there. So those are my thoughts on it. Any thoughts, Adam?
Well, I might buy. Maybe I'm naive because I haven't looked at the products in a while. But I used to like the. I mean, they're more pricey.
Yeah.
But the stuff from Audio Engine, don't they do a couple like adapters? I think it's called the B-Fi or the B1 or something like that.
Yeah. Did they still do an AirPlay capable adapter
That's
over
the
there?
part
Audio
I
Engine?
didn't know. That's the part I didn't know. So
Okay.
I hesitated to bring it up in response to AirPlay 2. I know they used to play nice with AirPlay back in the day. I had one of the like B1s or something like that.
The B1 is Bluetooth only. That I know for sure. But
Right.
there is the B-Fi that you also mentioned. And I believe the B-Fi, it is still available. And does it do...
It says AirPlay. It does say it has AirPlay, but I don't know if it's AirPlay 2.
Oh, right. Yeah, it does say AirPlay for the B-Fi. So...
And it's pricey if it's not AirPlay 2.
Yeah, exactly. It's $189. Yeah,
they use
yeah,
really
yeah.
high-end DACs and stuff like that.
Right.
So that wouldn't be backward compatible.
It would be, but not for the multi-room stuff, right? AirPlay 2 adds the multi-room.
Yeah. Right.
So, and you might want that depending on how you're going to do things in your home.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. But, these things... Go ahead, Adam.
I was just saying the reality for me, I was going to bring this up too, is that and the reason I don't know is because once I got HomePods for audio, I don't really use anything else, or I use Sonos, or I use, my HomePods. So I'm kind of out of the loop on the little adapters for doing AirPlay 2.
I looked at these because I was using AirPlay 2 more with Sonos and other devices, because like Mike, I had some speakers that it was like, well, if I could put an adapter on these, I now have another sound output source that's compatible with the rest of my system, right? So there's an argument that if you are a, mostly HomePod household, one of these things is perhaps even more relevant for you, right? Like, I mean, at $89, you're not that far off from buying a HomePod. So you or a HomePod Mini, right? What's a HomePod Mini now?
Like $99.
They're $99, right?
You probably can get refurbs for cheaper.
Yeah. So it's $99. Yeah. So but if you've got a set of desktop speakers that are stereo that you can put
really nice,
6 feet apart from each other or something, and run them off of one of these, but you've already got the speakers, you paid $89, and now you've got a stereo pair as opposed to just one HomePod Mini. So, yeah. Cool. Yeah, good stuff. Thanks, Mike. That's, you made me research this, Mike, and I was happy to find things that solved this problem, because like I said, the last time we researched this, it was like, there
wasn't much out there. Yeah.
Yeah, it was off-brand Chinese stuff that would they would always look the same, but every time we looked at it, it was from a different name of a manufacturer, and I was like, God, do I really want to recommend this on the show? Like, and maybe it's the same manufacturer making these for Belkin and Wim. I don't know. It could very well be, but at least they're supported by brands that you have a really good chance of getting good support from. So. A little bit of a history. So, all right. You want to take us to, I'll say Leofwin. I think we're pronouncing your name. Leofwin?
Leofwin or Leofwin. Yep. Says, hey, I know MGG has transitioned from Evernote. Sad, but I've ignored Evernote for years now. I've been paying the $70 or so annual subscription just to keep a ton of legacy data handy. And I've needed to pull a few obscure items from back in the day when I kept everything in Evernote. I think a lot of us did.
Yeah.
This week, they informed me that the subscription price is almost doubling to $130. Ouch. So I've canceled it as of March 6th. It was a luxury to keep around for rare archive digging occasions, but this is now a ridiculous cost for a once or twice a year thing. But I canceled without really thinking about it ahead of time. So help, please. I've logged into Evernote online to cancel and see that all my notes are still there. I haven't even installed a new version of Evernote on my M2 MacBook Pro, and I don't really want to at this point. However, there doesn't seem to be a way to export my data from the web interface, only via a Mac or a Windows client. Any ideas? Or do I have to go through the hassle of the app update to save my data? And any insight on what the export format looks like and works with?
Yes. In fact, yes to all of those questions. So let's move on. No. The answer is yes. I have been through this, right? We, as you remember, Leofwin, we used to use Evernote because it was a note app that allowed cloud syncing among multiple people, and that solved the problem of us having access to the same library for when we're doing this. In fact, in years past, your question would have been prepared by me into Evernote, and Adam would have read it out of Evernote. I know Adam wasn't part of MGG years ago, but just go with me on this. Now we did that same thing with Notes, right? And I put it into Notes, and Adam just read it out of Notes. Getting things, your history from Evernote to Notes is thankfully very easy. Going the other direction, not so easy. But Evernote will export your entire set of notes into OnyX format, and Apple's Notes app will import OnyX format. So it truly is built to do this. The other yes that I was answering is, in fact, yes, you have to download the Mac app to do this. The good news is you can run the old Evernote legacy app and the new Evernote app on the same Mac at the same time. They will maintain their own copies of your same synced Evernote database. It works great. We did that for a long time because Apple Script support does not exist in the new Evernote app. So we would use the old one to put notes into it because we could script that process. And then we would use the new one to read it because it was a better reading experience. So it all didn't matter. It was all kind of the same and works well. But yeah, you're going to have to download the app. It's a temporary thing. Download it, export, pull it into Notes, and you're good. You should be good to go. But yes, your note made me think, I think I'm on the free plan. The left one's fine. He could just go to the free plan. The only problem is he won't be able to upload lots of new data. I am wrong about that assumption. The free plan allows you to have up to 50 notes and one notebook. Now, I should share how they articulate that. They say create up to 50 notes and one notebook. I think if you scale down from a plan that let you create more down to the free plan, I think you will keep all of your notes. But that is a guess, and please don't use my guess as the foundation of a future workflow that matters to you. Export this stuff out, get it into Notes, get it into something. If you have a Synology disk station, they have Note Station, which is an app that you can install on there that also, not only will it import an OnyX file, it will sync with your Evernote database. You just log it in and it will slurp it all down. That's another way to do it. And they have iOS and Mac apps for that too. So I'm probably going to do one more sync of Evernote just to make sure I have my data in several places. But I think it will stick around. I just won't be able to add any more, but I won't know until June because I was also on the annual plan, but I am not anymore. I've moved to the free plan. So come June, I'll be able to speak to this. So
this is like a slow motion Sherlock there over at Evernote. Right?
I mean, kind of, yeah.
I feel bad for him, but it's Notes is taken over, and
it's cross-platform. That
sure,
right?
Fair enough, yeah.
So if you need to collaborate, it is one way to do it. But there's also Microsoft OneNote, which I think winds up being cheaper, especially if you're getting it as part of other Microsoft things that you're buying, and that's cross-platform. Yeah. Again, Synology Note Station, cross-platform.
Well, and you see their need to raise prices as people are leaving.
Yes.
Yeah. Chicken and egg problem, or egg and chicken problem, I guess. It's the other way around. But
I mean, I think I
right.
know. I think I know what the title of the episode was. I thought it was going to be something about the importance of the semicolon, but the egg and chicken problem is about as good as it's ever going to get. I think so.
I also think this is actually turns out to be a good time to talk about that thing that I wanted to talk about since it relates to app pricing. So
yes,
a little bit of an audible jumping ahead one, but yeah. So this came up for me with the Vision Pro because I'm trying to use the Vision Pro. I'm trying to figure out what's the use case for this. What can I do? And obviously, games is one of those things that you want to do, but just apps in general. So there's a general. I think I mentioned this last time, right? That it needs more apps, but it's early days, so it's just like early days of the iPhone, So, but I'm constantly going into the App Store to look for apps. A big problem right now is that the discovery is not very good because there are a lot of Vision Pro apps, but Apple only highlights a few of them, and it's really hard to find like a section that's just like show me all the Vision Pro apps. I haven't found it on the App Store yet.
You can't.
Well,
filter...
maybe
Okay.
Okay. I haven't found it in the Vision Pro App Store. You can look through and they have categories and you can see all the categories, like here's the new stuff, but it stops after a few. I want just a place where I can see like the full list of all the Vision Pro apps, like 600 of them, but I don't know. I digress. You can search for them and then it'll show you this is Vision Pro versus iPad, but you have to know what you're searching for.
Sure.
So, I want to browse. Anyway, I digress. So I was going through and looking for things to try out, and I came across this game. I pulled it up over here. Hopefully I still got, no, I closed the tab, of course. It's called I'm going to get it wrong now. I had it up earlier. But it's this, it's like a 3D app, and you basically, it's kind of like a puzzle. It creates this 3D environment, and you find little pieces of the 3D model and you kind of reassemble the model, and it gets more complex as you go, and it's got a bunch of levels and stuff like that. And I saw that it was available for free download with in-app purchase. And so I looked at the in-app purchase on it, and it was like, because I always am curious, what is if I want the full version of this, because basically you get one
sure,
like level or whatever you call it. One puzzle is like the demo, and if you want the other 9, and they're going to add more as time goes on. If you want the other 9, you've got to pay, in-app purchase. And I'm like, okay, so what is it? It's like $9.99, and it's like, oh, that's not too bad if it's a really good game and I like it. But great. And so I downloaded it. I tried the first thing, and I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty cool because like once you've built this like diorama thing, basically, you can scale it up and you can kind of walk through it and like experience it and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, okay, it's great. I'll pay the $10, and I went to go do the in-app purchase, and it's $10 a month.
Yeah, that's different. Yep.
$120 a year. So I don't know if it's just because they realize, like, again, like early days of the iPhone, remember there was like some crazy priced apps. And I'm not against subscription models. Like,
sure, no, you never have been.
Had it been $1.99 or $2.99, I might go, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. Like, I'll pay that because it's actually, I recognize the amount of work that went into this. It's really well built. It's immersive. It's really entertaining and relaxing and fun. It's kind of meant to be more of a relaxing kind of game. It's not really difficult. You see the pieces and you kind of drag them down, and you can
just give me the name of the game one more time, Adam.
I need to actually look it up. So I'm going to need some time to go into my browser history because I had a hard time finding it too.
Okay, well, we can just put it in the show notes. It's totally fine.
I'll get it. I'll definitely get it for you if you give me a second, because I definitely had it pulled up here. Luna, Loona.
Okay. Yep. Cool. All right.
Yeah, and it's this spatial puzzle game. I had the link, and I can get you the link to it, or you can find the link to it. But it's called Luna. And so, like, I went and looked at the reviews, and then there's a bunch of people. Obviously, they're like, "This is a great game. This pricing is crazy," and it sounds like they brought it down because earlier reviews were saying it was initially $20 a month.
Oh wow!
Oof.
Okay,
yeah, and $240 a year for a game. That's like a game platform. Like, I don't know. like, again, if they're just thinking, well, if people are willing to pay $3,500 for the thing, they're going to be willing to pay a lot more for software. And, I don't want to admonish this developer, because I recognize the amount of work that goes into it.
Absolutely.
And I think developers should get paid. But like, if this is going to be the pricing model for apps on Vision Pro, that's insanity. Like, I just had to point that out. It's like, so I almost left a review, but I didn't want to, because it's really well designed and it's a really beautiful game. But $10
they could lower the price to $3 a week. Then it's only $156 a year.
So instead of leaving a review, we'll just share it with about 50,000 people here and let that ripple. No, but these are important conversations to have, and I always do this. But anytime we mention a product, service, company, anyone on the show, I always try to let the principals or the PR people or whatever know, so that they can hear the conversation if they want. And I think, hopefully they would agree that they want to hear this, even though it might not be what they want to hear. So
I mean, and if it was console game priced, $50-$60 for the whole app, that I'd even be okay with that. And that sounds pricey, but if you bought a video game for your PlayStation or your Xbox or whatever, or your PC, you're going to pay that. Yep. So that seems perfectly reasonable, in terms of a price. But $240 a year, it's like, I'll go buy an Xbox and get a bunch of other games for.
My wife has a fitness app. All of the apps on the Quest, at least all the ones she's encountered, allow essentially a 14-day trial period. You buy the app and then you can return it and get your money back in the first 14 days, as long as A, it's 14 days or less, and B, you've used the app for less than 2 hours. And I like that idea because it really does let you've got to commit to wanting to try it. You've paid for it. It's up to you to do the return. It's, so if you just go with momentum, you will have paid for it and then you will keep it and that's it. But if you're diligent about it, obviously you can easily manage that process. But there is one app that she's using for fitness that she thinks she's going to stick with. And after that 14 days, it then is either $10 a month or $100 a year. But they are adding it's kind of like Apple Fitness, where they're adding new classes all the time and different things, so that you're not 6 months from now hearing exactly the same instructor say exactly the same thing over and over again and getting bored with it. So in that sense, I get it. It's way cheaper than a gym membership. In fact, she canceled. She's been talking about whether or not it's worth it for her to pay the $100 a month to her yoga studio that she'd been going to and hadn't really been finding time to go to. And so this for $500 plus another $100 a year, that's 6 months of yoga. And now then it's paid for. So,
I mean, in this app, again, to be fair, they're planning on adding new levels and continuing to add things. So I get the subscription thing.
Yeah.
I just think,
that's a lot
that's
for a game.
Little heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
In my opinion, but maybe I'm wrong.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, well, time will tell. So, time will tell. All right. James asks us, he says, eventually and soon, I'm going to ditch my late 2018 Mac Mini and get a higher end MacBook Pro. I've determined that I would benefit greatly from the mobility and, of course, the speed improvements and all of that good stuff. While in my office, though, my intention will be to maintain a similar effective setup to what I have now: dual 4K displays and multiple USB accessories. The safe assumption is that the yet-to-be-released MacBook Pro that I will eventually buy will have less total ports than my current desktop machine. That's probably fair. So additional adapters, ports, hubs, dongles will be needed. And he says, yes, I'm already on my Mac Mini using every port that's there, plus a couple of dongles. My question for my future self and for all of us is whether it would be better to utilize a single Thunderbolt hub that connects to all of my external devices, something like the CalDigit TS4 or the OWC Thunderbolt 4 hub, or to employ separate and distinct adapters, for example, possibly, one hub for my external SSDs and microphones, and then use a different Thunderbolt adapter for my external displays in combination possibly with the Mac's HDMI port. Focusing my question, will connecting two displays and multiple USB devices to the same hub and therefore the same port on my Mac negatively affect SSD speeds as all of those devices are sharing a single Thunderbolt port's bandwidth? Would it be better, purely from a bandwidth perspective, to instead spread those across the multiple ports that I am hoping my future MacBook Pro will still have? Is each port a separate bus? I don't mind plugging 2 to 3 wires in regularly if it improves performance. What do you guys think? You want to start this one, Adam?
Yeah, there's a lot in this, and you're probably going to be a little bit better than me at unpacking this. But like to simply answer the questions from what my knowledge is like, right? Different Macs, like the bus question, different Macs have different buses, which is like why things like the MacBook Air, I think, still only support one external display or maybe two. I can't remember. There's like a limit.
Yeah.
And in terms of like having multiple things on the same bus, I know that can affect performance. I don't know how much. I think like SSDs and those sorts of things, and Thunderbolt itself has a lot of bandwidth. So it often puzzles me where people get a little bit worried about this. But I know there's a lot of people that are like, I want maximum throughput to my external like SSDs all the time. I don't want anything slowing that down. And I get that. I don't operate at that level. I'm not doing like high-end video and all that, those sorts of things. So I think, it all depends on, I think it comes down to how you want your setup. Like for me, I know I haven't gone to Thunderbolt monitors yet. And one of the reasons I haven't is because I want everything on a single cable. Like I love the convenience of just having one cable that plugs into my MacBook Pro and everything's connected to a hub. And with my displays, I want to daisy chain my displays. And there aren't that many displays on the market that have Thunderbolt coming in and then a Thunderbolt out so you can go to another monitor, including Apple's, by the way.
Yeah.
Which is just baffling to me. So like, I think that there's like 1 or 2 companies that make them, and I've looked at them and I just haven't pulled the trigger on a like 4K, 5K display yet, but because I want to, and I want to daisy chain them. So that's where I'm at with it. Like I prefer just everything one hub, and hooking it up that way, but I don't worry about maximum throughput on all my.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same as you, kind of. Here in the studio is probably a great example because I'm running a Mac Studio, which has, I believe, 4 Thunderbolt buses, right? And so I have optimized things because why not? It's not a portable machine. Once I plug it in, I kind of forget about it, which is sort of the point. I come up here and I turn it on and I'm good to go. But I do have 3 monitors connected to this, and it only has one HDMI port. So I am using an HDMI port for one. And I have done tests both with this machine and the machine I had up here prior that was also a Thunderbolt Mac, where running, if I plug a Thunderbolt hub into one of the Thunderbolt ports and then put an SSD off of that hub and then a monitor also off of that hub, which you can do because, a lot of these Thunderbolt docks will have, certainly many of them now with Thunderbolt 4 and support hubbing, right? So you can have multiple Thunderbolt ports, but they also support, they might have their own HDMI or their own USB-C output that supports a USB-C monitor, right? Because those exist, not Thunderbolt monitors, but USB-C monitors or display port or whatever the Thunderbolt dock might have. Hooking up 2 monitors to a Thunderbolt dock and then an SSD, I noticed that my write speeds, not my read speeds, but my write speeds to that SSD go down or conversely go up when I remove the monitors because those monitors require a constant digital stream of data going to them. It's kind of how it works when you stop and think about it. It makes a lot of sense, right? So I have compartmentalized things up here in the studio so that I keep one, this Mac Studio that I got, it is the base model M1 Mac Studio, right? And it's great. It's awesome. But that meant that it's got 32 gigs of unified memory, which is awesome, and 512 gigs of SSD space, which is fine, but not awesome, and certainly not the amount that I need. So I have an OWC Envoy drive that hangs off of this and lives there full time. And it is plugged into one of the Thunderbolt ports, which on this means one of the Thunderbolt buses. And that is entirely dedicated to that drive because I save lots of things on it. In fact, if memory serves, I think I even save the audio for the show directly to that drive. If I don't, it gets archived there or something. I don't know. I forget. Doesn't matter. I manage my storage so that I'm not overutilizing that precious 512 gigs on the boot drive. But and then I have a separate Thunderbolt hub that feeds my other two, or Thunderbolt dock. It might even be USB dock. I can't remember. But that feeds my other two monitors, and that's dedicated. And then I have one that's like dedicated to like the various peripherals that I'm going to plug in, the kind of random things. And that also includes my audio interface, which is Thunderbolt. And so I want that to be prioritized. And so I have thought about how to best manage this. Am I getting full speed? Well, I am with the drive that I care about. But other than that, I'm sure I've got some things that are in theory not perfectly engineered, but I've got enough headroom on the bandwidth of these Thunderbolt buses that it doesn't actually matter. Like none of these devices would soak up enough to impact the others. So, but it is something to think about. And what you really, the question going back to James specifically that you need to ask is how many buses, not ports, but how many Thunderbolt buses does that MacBook Pro that doesn't yet exist have? You're right, Adam. The MacBook Air has one Thunderbolt bus in it. The MacBook Pros, the ones with, it keeps changing, so I'm going to get this wrong. But at one point in time, and this may be that point in time, the MacBook Pros with 2 Thunderbolt ports had one bus, and with 4 Thunderbolt ports or 3 Thunderbolt ports had 2 buses. And it was, you had to learn which was which. I think it was split by side, but I might be wrong on that. But like, you can look in the specs and you can look in System Profiler and like see those things. And you get to even see in System Profiler, it'll show you, here's what's connected to this Thunderbolt bus. Here's what's connected to this one. And absolutely, even if you think like me, you know, I've got 4 ports. I know exactly where everything is. Why? Just look. System Profiler will confirm it for you. You're either right or wrong. You want to know. So, yeah. It's a wonderful little tool. So,
There's a great point about, the difference between, there is the difference between a notebook, right? The convenience of having that one cable versus a desktop where, hey, this thing's never moving. I can plug all 4 ports in and I don't care.
I don't care. In fact, it would be, I didn't have all 4 of them plugged in at first. I got this machine up and running. This was one of those machines that I had to replace this past summer, basically in an emergency after that lightning strike to the house or whatever. And so I just plugged it in. I got it up and working. And then a month and a half later, I was in System Profiler for some other reason. I was like, wait a minute. I have 2 Thunderbolt buses I'm not using at all. I think I'm going to change that, So I spent the 20 minutes to re-engineer it and was like, yep, okay. And now I think I got it right when I just articulated it before, but let's assume I did. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So I got a question from my daughter this morning. This might be a geek challenge, or you might just have the answer, one of you guys. She says, is there any way to pair 2 sets of AirPods to one iPad? She says her fiance and her are taking a train ride, I think to Milan or Verona or something this weekend, and they both want to watch a movie on the same iPad. How do you do it? Is that possible? I seem to think that it is, but I literally got this text while we were recording, and so how to pair 2 sets of AirPods with the same iPhone. I think it is possible.
Yeah, I think it is too.
For the movie watching scenario, though, can't you just share the audio?
Yes.
Like to another set of AirPods? So
Yeah,
one person,
I think
I
that's
know
it.
you can do that if that's the movie scenario, but they're not. I mean, that's not. When I think pairing, I'm thinking like I have two sets of AirPods, right, paired to my Mac, and I bring this one over and that connects, and then later I bring this one over and then that one connects. But you can't share the audio. I know you can share audio for music app and movies and things like that. I think it's limited to certain scenarios, though.
You are correct. For what they want to do, I think it is doable. I found an article at How to Geek that I'll put in the show notes about this, and I will also text to her. But yeah, when you bring another set of AirPods close to a device that is playing audio, and I can confirm this because I see it on planes all the time. I'll be watching a movie and it'll be like, do you want to pair to Susie's AirPods? And you click the button like, these are not your AirPods, no, thank you. But once you do that, then you use it looks as though you use the AirPlay button in Control Center to decide how everything's going to go. And you get to check the boxes next to both of these sets of AirPods that are now connected to your device. So yeah, I think this is going to be doable.
Well, that's good news. And my question, I was thinking it was Apple TV only that could do it. And then Uncle Jamie mentioned in Discord that it's, what's the word he used? Inconvenient.
Yes. Yeah, it's weird to do it on Apple TV. I will agree. It is possible, but it's kind of sucks. Yeah. It's a weird process. Yeah. All right. How are we doing here on time?
You want me to read Tony's question? Or
No, I want Adam to take us to Cool Stuff Found because Porthos John has kind of a cool one. We've done a lot of Vision Pro stuff this episode, so we might as well kind of stick with that.
And then
we'll do Tony in next week's episode. So
Yeah, so Porthos John actually is solving a problem that I've thought about the same thing. And he says, one of the things on the design side that I lament on with the Apple Vision Pro is the same as VR headsets as well. And that is there's nothing that covers or protects the internal lenses, including your snap-in prescription or, lenses and stuff like that. So the lenses are open. They give you that nice cover for the front. They do not give you any kind of cover for like the inside. And I don't know if they think just because it's kind of naturally protected by the face shield thing, but dust and dirt and things can get in there. And so he said, I reverted to something that I used on my digital cameras for years, a lens pen. And if you don't know what a lens pen is, it looks like a fat like marker, and you pop the end off and it has a little articulating. Well, there's a couple different ways. That this one Dave's showing on the video has a slide out where you push it out and a little,
like a mechanical pencil, you might slide it out. Yep.
Yeah, it comes out the end of it. I have one where you pop it off and it has a little pad with an articulating kind of thing, and you would use it for your digital camera to get in and like clean off the lenses or the sensors or stuff like that. It's a lens cleaning cloth, but in pen form. And he says you can spend $10 on a lens pen or $25 on a full cleaning kit, but they have a non-scratch carbon head that makes your glass super clear again. You don't ever clean the Apple. You don't ever clean the Apple Vision Pro internals with a rag or a towel. They can scratch, and they also tend to leave debris and fibers. So yeah, these little lens pens are great. And again, camera enthusiasts have used them for years and know about them. I have one because I have a telescope, and it came with a kit with the telescope that I bought for. And the problem I always thought was like, even if you tried to use a cloth, which as he says you probably shouldn't do, getting down in there, it's kind of a reach. I guess you could pop off the face shield. I never thought about that just now. Like that thing comes off pretty easy. It's magnetically attached, so you can get at them more easily that way. But yeah, lens pens are great. So great tip.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I've heard about them with like for binoculars, and that's also a good way of thinking about this because the Vision Pro optically shares some things with binoculars. Yeah.
Yeah. So the question I have, Adam, is: have you sniffed that pen? Is it alcohol?
There's no fluid or anything on it. It's a dry thing.
Okay.
Like okay. It's got a special tip on it. So yeah. Basically, you You don't want to drag, especially with lenses, you don't want to drag even micro fine particles just like across that. You want something that's going to pick that stuff up.
So I'm not supposed to use the bottom of my shirt to clean these things like I do with my glasses?
Paper towels, Dave. Paper towels.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, no. Oh, man.
Windex
hurts.
and paper towels.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
We actually,
you gotta be really careful.
Our HUD glass, which you've seen pictures of. In fact, that the video I sent to Adam, it has the HUD in there. HUD is being a heads-up display. It displays, you pull this lens down in front of you, and it projects at infinite focus all your flight data in front of you. It's your primary flight instrument, airspeed, attitude, heading, yada, yada. I digress. It's a $10,000 lens. So they provide us with special cleaning, but it's I think it's about a 50% alcohol wet wipe and then a special dry cloth because you don't want it to dry on there. The alcohol would splotch if it were just allowed to dry. So, but that's why I was curious if the pen was alcohol, if it was done, to break down. They do it to break down oils and things like that. You're not supposed to touch that lens, but of course people seem to think it's a touch screen and leave fingerprints all over. You're like, all right. But there's a special anti-reflective coating on it and all that, and that's what you're trying to avoid damaging.
Yeah, when I worked in an office, so this is, before my kids were even glimmers, I remember learning the hard way that like Windex would remove the anti-glare coating immediately from your displays because the cleaning crew would come in at night and clean everything, including all of our displays. They would dust our displays, which of course meant their rags had like Windex on them. And I got a new display one day, and of course the cleaning crew came in that night and did their job. And then the next day I noticed that
on your display.
my brand new display looked very different. I was like, oh no. So then we, enlightened everyone, me, the staff, and of course the cleaning crew at Citibank, to don't do this anymore. Maybe that's not such a good idea. And they were like, oh my gosh, we're so sorry. And I was like, yeah, you didn't know. I didn't know. It's like, didn't even think about it. Yeah. So,
Oh, so Pete, here's the thing. So I had to Google this because I was curious. So the lenspen.com site says, how does this work? The cleaning tip surface is covered, like was mentioned in that tip, with a special invisible carbon compound that removes the fingerprint oils. This is not high tech. This is old tech. Many years ago, our grandmothers often used newspapers to clean the windows and mirrors in their house. Why did that work so well? Newspapers are cut with printer's ink, which adds carbon molecules and has the unique ability to absorb oils.
Interesting. I've always used newspaper instead of paper towels when I clean windows. Use Windex and newspaper, but it never occurred to me that it was the printer's ink. Yeah,
my grandmother taught me that too. She would come visit and she'd clean our windows, and she always used newspaper. It gets the dirt and oils off, I guess, because of the carbon.
There you go. That's a quick tip.
Oh, that's like, I mean, like if anything deserves the magical bell, it's your respective grandmothers. Yeah, right. Like that's it. Wow, I love it.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
So that's something again that I've just always done. I've always used newspaper to clean windows. Of course, it's
amazing.
You forget that you learned it. You just knew it.
You just knew it, right? Well, that's the ultimate quick tip right there, right? Yeah, that's it. Wow. All right.
Matt?
I'm gonna share Doug's cool stuff down here, because it's so cool, and I've been keeping it in our hopper for far too long. We were talking about widgets in our Discord channel, and I think we even had the conversation here. One of the things someone wanted was a widget that showed the name of the current Wi-Fi network, which they wanted to make sure that they weren't attached to, their network. I think they had two different SSIDs in their house, and they wanted to make sure on their iPhone that they knew which network they were attached to at any given point in time. But this could be handy no matter where you are. There are times often where I'm out and about, and it's like, I'm on Wi-Fi. Which network am I on? Like, is this something I want to be on, or is this that slow as molasses network that I've learned to hate, but I use sometimes anyway? And there is no way in Apple's widgets to do that. But thankfully, RN Doug in our Discord hipped us to the existence of Widgy, Widgy. And this is a widget app. I looked in Widgetsmith because that's kind of the default, like super powerful widget app. Doesn't have any of these features. Widgy does. There is a stock widget in Widgy that shows you your Wi-Fi and cellular speeds and bandwidth used in real time, which is cool. But it does not by default show you the name of the Wi-Fi network. It was very easy for me to take, 90 seconds and edit a copy of their stock Wi-Fi widget and add, current Wi-Fi network SSID to it. And you get to lay it out, and it's got like a grid thing, and you just put it where you want. And then the widget exists, and I added the widget, and I'm good to go. And it still is there on my phone now. Widgy is freemium, so you get to create one widget with it that you can use for free. And then if you want to have multiple widgets, well, that's what you pay for. And that makes perfect sense to me. And I think it was, I don't know, $8 or something like that. But yeah, it's a cool little thing. So I was stoked to find out about all these little widget apps. Now I'm going to have to spend a Saturday afternoon and rethink my entire world of widgets. So thank you for that, RN Doug. Do we have anything else for today, or we're at a minute 20, an hour
Tennessee
20?
Papa in the Discord chat says you can long press the Wi-Fi icon and it shows you the network you're on.
That is true. Yes, and that also came up in this other discussion. You're right. You can go to the control center, long press the Wi-Fi icon, and it will show you the name. For
multiple steps.
Yeah, multiple steps. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whoever brought this up in the Discord wanted just a quick at-a-glance way, and so it was like, well, let's see if that exists. If it doesn't, you're totally right. Like it is right there at your fingertips. This is there if you just even want to glance at it, which is what he was looking for.
Even handier, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So
the other thing I want to mention from the earlier newsprint thing, if it wasn't obvious, do not clean your Vision Pro lenses with newspaper.
Thank you for saying that. Yes.
It's not the same as the lens pen. The lens pen is specifically designed for delicate lenses. Newsprint, your windows in your house are much more durable. Than
and less important if there's micro scratches in them too.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. All right, thanks for hanging out with us. Bandwidth gods in Hong Kong, thank you for keeping Pete's bandwidth as solid as you did for our episode here.
Me on.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Outstanding.
Thanks for hanging out with us, folks.
All
Thanks
right.
to Cashfly.
Hey.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Pete. Yeah.
I was going to say, want you to share the show. Something you haven't mentioned in a while, Dave. Give us a review. MacGeekGab.com/review. Go there and give us 5 stars, won't you, please?
Thank you. Thank you for that. I think the bandwidth gods have Pete about a full 1,000 millisecond delay from the rest of us, but it's okay. That's where that little hiccup just happened there, but it's all good. We're fine. So yes, please do. Thank you for reminding everybody of MacGeekGab.com/review for those 5-star reviews. Bandwidth, thanks to Cashfly. Thanks to all of you for your questions, your tips, your comments. It's what allows us to continue doing this show, and we are honored to be the stewards of this amazing community. And thank you for allowing us to keep doing that. Make sure you check out our sponsors. You can always look at MacGeekGab.com/sponsors. We keep that up to date with not only the sponsors of recent episodes, but also any deals that we know of from past sponsors. They might even not be current, but you can go find deals there. So MacGeekGab.com/sponsors. Maybe I should link that from /deals too. That's what they are. Adam.
Yes, sir.
Before we send everyone on their way on this fine day, it's always a fine day, no matter when you're listening. Do you have 3 words to potentially share?
Absolutely. Don't get caught.
Made on a Mac.
See ya.
Later.